gonna put my gamer glove on, I mean my drawing glove, professional feeling. Yo, welcome to Toasting Your Art, the original show where we tear your pieces to pieces and we stick the pieces back together in the correct way. I'm a professional artist, I started from the dirt. Today we have a bunch of people that are still in the dirt. They've thrown some money at me and submitted their drawings to my Discord server, which is for patrons only. So let's take a look at them. Let's start with Maxi KD. This is the last finished piece I made and I quite like it conceptually. Even so, I think it could benefit from more correct perspective. I know you're quite good with that, so I thought you could help out Smiley with an extra chin. This conceptually really do be a very cool piece. It's pretty unusual, very line oriented. Looking at this, the composition appears totally fine to me. There's like this abstract element to it, which is cool, which is what you were going for. But yeah, the perspective, it looks a little bit isometric, which is something I think you were not going for. Apart from the perspective, there is a couple things I want to talk about here, so let's jump into our drawing software. In the original version, the lines of the borders didn't match up when using a ruler. What I'm gonna do here is set the scene up with proper perspective guides. I'm using the built-in vanishing point guides in Clip Studio, but this can be done using something like the line tool. I've covered how to set this up in the past. I set up a 3-point perspective guide. It's easy to draw boxes in perspective, so let's move on to something more complex, like the head here. A human head. Drawing things from different angles like this is a challenge to many. Using reference is the best thing you can do in these situations, but it can be hard to find the reference from the correct angle every time, so this is where using 3D models comes into play. You won't be able to find the 3D model for just about anything, but simple things like the heart here and the head are easy to come by. I use a site called sketchfab.com, so let's quickly add in the rest of the elements that were present in the original. Get to the hatching. The main principle I'll be following is following the form of the object. On these squares, I can simply follow the vanishing point and get a strangely artificial looking result. But if we do the same to add shadows under the objects, it starts looking more natural. To do this type of hatching properly, you should at least understand the overall 3D shape of the object you're drawing. The deeper your understanding is, the better of a result you will end up with. I'm avoiding filling anything in and I'm just trying my best to stick with using pure lines. More frequent lines in the shaded areas and less frequent in the lighter. The smoke type of thing here is where things get interesting. This is where following the form is most obvious. You can imagine putting thousands of rubber bands around this form to make it clear which direction it is facing in each section. It's hard to do this wrong since it's just an abstract shape and there really isn't a wrong. I'm approaching it in 2 passes. The first one was used to define the form, and the second pass is what I shade this form with. I'm now hatching with lines in the opposite direction, but still following the same form. I'm only putting these opposite lines into areas that I want to be shaded more. As a side note, I've been thinking of a top right side light source this entire time. Must not forget to have a unified light source, even in unusual cases like this. Next submission comes from Versavia. Here is a work I completed recently. I did this as a study since it's still hard for me to paint without the reference. I struggled with the tilt of the head as well as proportions of the face or nose. Alright, it's pretty good, pretty well done, it's pretty refined. I like the texture on the clothing. It enhances the form, the feeling of form, and it does like feel weighty and it makes sense. When I look at the reference though, I do see a couple things here that could need some touching up. The biggest thing that popped out to me on this one was the limited range of values used on the painting. The darkest area was this brown, which cuts off a little bit of details from areas like the neck and hair, giving us an impression of a thicker neck than it really is. So let's darken the darks and lighten the lights. The photo appears to be lit by a window to the side of the model outside of the frame. So the area between her shoulders and the hair barely gets any light. I'm also adding in darker tones to the other right side facing areas. Now it's time to do the opposite, brighten some areas. By some I mean only on the face really. This time we are dealing with soft reflections though, which behave a little bit differently from normal light. So I'm not lightening the leftmost areas, but rather the areas that are perfectly angled between the window to the side and the camera. So this is why it's necessary to understand 3D form, because otherwise you won't be able to know where to put these reflections. Another thing I noticed, maybe a bit nitpicky, is that the pattern on the fabric was rendered with dark brushstrokes over white, while it seems to me like it should have been the other way around, white strokes over a darker base. But as I said, it's not that big of a deal, and it looks good either way. So these are the main things I would change about this piece. Other than that, it's pretty solid. Next submission comes from EagleBro, NoText, just an Amazon delivery box being real. Next submission comes from NoText once more, just drawing a painting. Very abstract. I mean, not very, kinda sorta abstract as far as the colors. And I mean, it looks good, it looks cool, it looks stylish, but what am I gonna do here exactly? Like, I mean, it doesn't really look like there's a lot I could do here. Oh my god! Just tracing! Look, I did it to save time. I only want to demonstrate how I would go about the rendering aspect of this image, so I don't care about how I built this up. Just doing it to get to that part fast. It was initially a bit hard for me to decipher where the lights were coming from in the original. While I think the stylization of the rendering looks cool and all, it could benefit from being a bit more clear as to where the lights are actually coming from. I'm gonna draw the same lighting setup, but more clearly. The first light is this blue one from the bottom right. It was originally present on the small area under the character's jaw, plus a bit of blue tone on the side of the face. So I'm playing that up a lot in my version, since I couldn't see the logic in the original. Then we got another blue one from the other side. This one doesn't seem to be coming from the bottom though, just a regular side light. Third one will be coming pretty much straight from above. To be honest, I didn't really see any top lighting on the face in the original, but I did see it a lot on the hair. So I'm expanding it over to the face as well in my version. And finally, let's quickly throw in some ambient occlusion and some highlights. As the last step, I'm trying to replicate that stylized look on the hair with the sharp transitions between light and dark. Yeah, these are the main things I would change about this, as the author didn't say what they wanted. Next submission comes from Sokali. Drew finals week of college to try and visualize anxiety. It's a tad rough, but I've been sitting on it for a while, not sure what to do. Very abstract. We got some way more abstract. If we're gonna be doing abstract art, then none of my critiques are gonna be objective. I like physics-based critiques. Or I've got this mess. If you feel like diving into it, no one wants to touch it. Good luck. Okay, that's the same concept, I think. But yeah, looking at this, I feel like I could do a little bit more here. There doesn't appear to be like a clear focal point in this. It's very messy. I'd like to just clean it up a little and organize it a bit better. So I'll do that. First thing we'll do here is zoom all the way out so we aren't distracted by details. I'm just getting rid of all this seemingly random detail. The key to effective design is having a balance of areas with a lot of detail and no detail. So next I'm trying to understand what is actually going on here. Where's the jaw? Where's the mouth of the creature? And I'm quickly adding in these form guides for myself. Again, the rubber band thing I was talking about earlier. This just makes everything come alive. I'm not really keeping those those lines in. It just helps me understand where the details I'm about to draw should go on this drawing, because I understand like the volume now. Let's keep refining it, adding in some scales, patterns, and texture. Done with the major elements, I'm trying to add in a little bit of line weight to weightier areas, to like bottom facing areas. That's where I typically like to add thicker lines to imply like a drop off or something. Yeah, this is the result. It looks like a manga dragon or something. I don't know what the... Fun drawing with large, fruitful, and SpongeBob. I thought it would be good toasting material. It's good looking material. I'm not gonna touch this. Join my Discord to experience this firsthand.